So, what if the very thing that makes your dog, like the absolute most loving, devoted companion on earth,
Right?
is actually the exact same thing that is destroying your living room the literal minute you walk out the door?
I mean, it's the ultimate double-edged sword of companionship, isn't it?
It really is. Picture this, right? A little Havanese is sitting right in the middle of a family room, just quietly watching everyone.
Just taking it all in?
Exactly. And someone on the couch laughs, and the dog's tail immediately starts to wag. A hand reaches for the front doorknob, and the dog is already barking before the door even opens.
Yeah.
Someone reaches for a leash, and it spins with pure joy.
They're so perceptive.
They really are. In one small animal, you can practically read the emotional map of the entire household. So welcome to today's deep dive.
Glad to be here.
We are looking at this massive stack of comprehensive behavior and training notes, all specifically focused on the Havanese breed.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there.
There really is. And our mission for you today is to explore this fascinating, almost paradoxical question. Like, how do you actually train a dog whose deepest genetic instinct is to just, stay as close to you as possible?
It's a huge challenge.
It is. So to help unpack this, I'm joined by our resident expert.
Hello. I'm so thrilled to be diving into this with you today.
Yeah.
Because the Havanese is just a deeply compelling subject.
Oh, absolutely.
Your natural charm, I mean, it makes formal training seem almost, well, unnecessary.
Right, like they're just born good.
Exactly. They are so sweet, so attuned to you that you think, oh, we don't need rules. This dog just gets me.
Yeah, they just understand.
But leaning on that charm instead of providing real foundational structure, that is exactly what leads to behavioral chaos down the line.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because when you read through these sources, it sounds less like owning a pet and more like living with a mind reader.
Oh, totally.
They are highly intelligent, incredibly social, and deeply emotionally attuned.
Yeah.
I kind of think of their intelligence like a high-powered antenna. Like they're always receiving signals.
That is, yeah.
But if they're so smart and so eager to engage, why do owners struggle so much?
Well, that antenna metaphor is actually perfect.
Oh, thanks.
Because it comes down to how they process your interactions. Training a Havanese feels much less like commanding an animal.
Right.
And much more like communicating with a partner. You aren't just teaching a robot to sit.
You're having a conversation.
Exactly.
Oh,
You're constantly negotiating a relationship. They don't really need complex external reward systems or, heavy-handed obedience drills to learn.
No clickers and rigid spreadsheets, right?
Right. They respond rapidly to your tone of voice, to praise, to tiny treats, and mostly just to the relationship itself. They desperately want to be on the same page as you.
Which, I mean, on the surface, that sounds like a dream for a dog owner.
Oh, sure.
You just have this pet that wants to please you all the time.
It is a joy, absolutely. And here's the catch, and it's a big one.
Okay, lay it on me.
Because their antenna is so powerful, because they read people so flawlessly, they notice every single inconsistency.
Ah. So you can't get away with anything.
Not a chance. If you, as the owner, lack structure and boundaries, the dog is exceptionally good at figuring out exactly what works to get their way.
Wow.
We talk a lot in behavioral science about operant conditioning. The idea that behaviors followed by a reward will increase.
Right, positive reinforcement.
Right. Well, Havanese is incredibly adept at using operant conditioning on the humans right back.
Wait, so they reverse engineer our behavior?
Precisely.
That's hilarious.
It is, until it's a problem. They learn that a specific head tilt gets a piece of chicken.
Oh, I've fallen for that.
We all have. Or they learn that, like, pawing at your leg while you're on a Zoom call gets them picked up and put in your lap.
They are totally training us.
They're effectively training you. And because they are so cute, you don't even realize you are being trained.
Wow. Okay, so if their antenna is constantly tuned into our frequency, trying to read our every move and figure out how to interact with us.
Yeah.
What happens when we just turn off the broadcast?
Oh, yeah.
Like, what happens when we leave the house? Because that leads us right into, honestly, the biggest problem area in these sources.
Yes, it does. Because this dog is a master at reading the room and attaching to its owners, a massive problem arises the moment that owner leaves the room.
The antenna just gets static.
Right. And what's fascinating here is the psychological distinction between love and secure attachment.
Okay, let me make sure I understand this. We're talking about the difference between a dog loving you and a dog feeling safe.
Exactly. The goal with a Havanese is never to make them less loving.
Right. You want a cuddly dog?
Of course. The goal is to make that love feel secure rather than anxious. If a dog only feels okay while it is physically touching its person, It hasn't actually learned that connection is safe.
Right.
What it has learned is that distance is scary. It completely lacks the internal coping mechanisms to self-soothe.
And the sources detail exactly what that fear looked like. We're talking about severe separation distress.
It's awful to see.
Yeah, like if you're listening to this and you've come home to a shredded throw pillow, you know this isn't just a little whining.
Not at all.
The signs include persistent vocalizing, frantic pacing, destruction of the home, heavy drooling.
The drooling is a big sign of panic.
Right, and just a complete inability to settle down, even house soiling in a dog that is otherwise perfectly potty trained.
That is true panic.
Mm.
You have to understand that this breed was literally genetically shaped for closeness.
Like it's in their DNA.
Yes, following people around, sleeping in your lap, wanting to be included in absolutely that is their baseline normal.
So being alone is fundamentally unnatural for them.
Exactly. So when they are suddenly isolated,
Yeah.
without having been taught how to be safely independent, their entire world feels like it's collapsing.
Let me push back on this a bit, though. Acting on behalf of, the conventional wisdom you always see on internet forums.
Oh boy, the internet forums.
Right. People always say a tired dog is a good dog. Or if they chew the baseboards, just put them in a crate.
Yeah.
So can't you just run them around the block a few times, tire them out, pop them in a crate, and go to work?
I am so glad you brought that up because I want to be incredibly clear about this no.
Just a flat no.
A flat, resounding no. For true separation distress, that generic advice isn't just unhelpful, it is actively dangerous.
Wow. Okay.
Panicking dogs should never, ever be punished. That just adds the fear of retribution on top of an already terrifying experience.
That makes sense.
And if a Havanese is genuinely panicking, forcing them into crate confinement can actually make things much worse.
Because they feel trapped.
Exactly. A crate is meant to be a den, a safe space. But to a panicking dog, it's a trap. They can severely injure their teeth or paws trying to escape a metal cage.
That's terrifying. So you can't just muscle through it. You can't just let them, cry it out like a toddler.
No, because they aren't throwing a tantrum to get their way.
Right.
They are experiencing a literal fight-or-flight physiological response. Now, exercise and mental enrichment are great for overall emotional balance, sure.
Starting to walk.
But a dog experiencing separation distress needs a highly structured, gradual plan for alone time training. This is a process called desensitization.
Okay, let's break that down for the listener. What does a highly structured desensitization plan actually look like on a random Tuesday morning?
It means breaking down your departure routine into micro steps,
Yeah.
like so small that the dog never hits that panic threshold.
Give me an example.
Okay, for example, maybe your dog starts panting the second you pick up your keys. So your training today is just walking to the counter, picking up your keys, putting them back down, and sitting on the couch.
Just over and over.
Yeah, you do that until the keys become completely boring.
You're unlinking the trigger from the panic.
Exactly. Then the next day you pick up the keys, walk to the door, touch the doorknob, and walk away.
Slow increments.
Right. Then you open the door, step outside, and immediately step right back in. 3 seconds. The goal is to prove to the dog over and over, I leave, but I always come right back, and you are safe while I'm gone.
That requires so much patience.
It really does. And I should add, in severe cases, owners shouldn't try to go it alone. They really need to bring in a veterinarian or a qualified behavior professional to help structure this plan.
That is so practical. Okay, but if their anxiety spikes when you leave, what happens when that anxious energy, that intense emotional focus, has nowhere to go while you're actually in the room? That has to spill over to other behaviors, right?
Oh, it absolutely does. When that distress or even just everyday excitement or frustration boils over, it usually manifests in the 2 most common pain points for owners barking and house training regressions.
Yes. Let's look at barking first, because the sources list a sheer variety of triggers that is honestly staggering.
They do bark a lot.
They really do. They alert to things. They bark out of pure excitement for attention, out of boredom. They bark at hallway sounds in apartments, at visitors, at other dogs.
Everything.
Literally everything. They bark from fear, from frustration, or, and this goes back to your operant conditioning point earlier, just because it's a pattern that's been accidentally rewarded.
That's exactly why the blanket assumption that small dogs just bark is so incredibly unhelpful.
It's just a stereotype.
Right. You have to identify the specific psychological driver for your specific dog. Let's take demand barking as an example.
Okay.
This is when the dog barks specifically to get you to look at them play with them, or give them food.
Right. And what's the natural human response there? We yell, quiet, stop it, no barking.
And guess what? You just rewarded them.
Because even negative attention is still engagement.
Precisely. To a dog that wants your attention, you yelling at them is just you barking back.
You're just joining the chorus.
Yeah. You've joined the conversation. The psychological loop is complete. The dog thinks, I barked, and my human stopped looking at the TV and looked at me. Success.
Wow.
The key is managing the triggers so they don't get rehearsed and actively rewarding quiet recovery. You want to skip the yelling entirely. Teach the dog to alert and then settle.
And if they are demand barking, you have to completely ignore them, like no eye contact, no speaking, wait for a second of silence, and then reward the silence.
Exactly. You are teaching them that silence is the currency that buys your attention, not noise.
I love that. Silence is the currency. Which brings us to the other major communication breakdown, and one I think a lot of people struggle with.
Yes.
If you're listening to this and you've got a Havanese that just peed on your rug for the third time this week, you're probably pulling your hair out right now.
It is incredibly frustrating.
I have to admit, reading through these sources, I was genuinely surprised. If this dog is so smart, why do they struggle so much with house training?
Because intelligence doesn't magically override physiology and environment.
Okay, unpack that.
First, let's talk physiology. You're dealing with a small breed, which means incredibly small bladders.
Tiny bladders.
Right. They simply need more frequent opportunities to go than a Labrador does. Second, because they're small, their I need to go signals can be very, very subtle. I think you called it the Havanese whisper earlier when we were reviewing the notes.
Yes, the Havanese whisper. Because a Great Dane standing by the back door is obvious.
Very obvious.
But a 10-pound Havanese just sitting quietly by the edge of the couch, if you wait for a shout, you've already missed the whisper. It's so easy to overlook.
That's spot on. And on top of that, owners often give them way too much unsupervised freedom in the house way too early.
Oh.
You think, oh, he hasn't had an accident in 3 days, he's fully trained. No, he just got lucky.
Right.
Then you have the environmental hurdles. If you live in a high-rise apartment, you aren't just opening a back door.
Yeah, the logistics are a nightmare.
You're dealing with leashes, long hallways, and elevators. By the time you get downstairs, that tiny bladder has already given up.
Poor things.
And if the weather is terrible, a dog whose belly is 3 inches from the ground is going to be miserable in the rain or snow. All of this makes consistent routines really difficult to maintain.
The sources really hammer home a key insight here about the associative memory of dogs. Dogs live entirely in the present moment. So
Yes.
when they do succeed outside, you have to reward them immediately, right when it happens, not when you walk back inside to the kitchen.
Exactly. And conversely, if you find an accident in the hallway 10 minutes after it happened and you yell at them or rub their nose in it, which you should never do, by the way.
Right. Never do that.
It just causes confusion and fear. They do not have the cognitive ability to connect your current anger to the puddle they made 10 minutes ago.
They just think you're crazy.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
They just learn that sometimes, for absolutely no reason, you become unpredictably scary.
And a scared dog is an anxious dog, which leads to more accidents.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle.
Uh,
And it's crucial to mention that if a reliably house-trained Havanese suddenly starts having accidents again, you need to check for medical issues first.
oh, like what?
Things like excessive thirst or a urinary tract infection can cause regressions. Never assume it's just a training lapse without ruling out their health.
Yeah, that's a great point. You know, this misinterpretation of the dog's communication, missing the subtle body language, yelling at them for demand, barking, it often leads owners to treat them like fragile accessories rather than real dogs.
Yes, unfortunately.
And that creates a whole new set of behavioral issues in the home and out in the world. I like to call this the small dog double standard.
Oh, this is one of my favorite topics. It is so prevalent with this breed.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Let's role play this for a second.
Okay.
Imagine a 90-pound German Shepherd.
Big dog.
Imagine if that German Shepherd jumped aggressively on every visitor, pulled you down the street on the leash, nipped at your hands during play, guarded the couch and growled if you tried to sit down, rushed the front door every time it opened, and just flat out refused to let you brush its coat.
If a 60 or 90-pound dog did any of that, it would be considered a major behavioral crisis. People would be calling trainers immediately.
Right. But because the Havanese is 10 pounds and fluffy, people think it's funny or just harmless.
No, he's just being sassy.
Exactly. But carrying the dog through every mildly challenging moment actually undercuts the dog's confidence.
Yes. You aren't protecting them, You're teaching them a form of learned helplessness.
Wow.
You are implicitly telling them that the world is too dangerous for them to handle on their own four paws. Let's look at resource guarding, for example.
Okay.
When a small dog growls because someone tries to move them off a favorite lap, people often laugh and say, "Oh, he's protecting me." No, he's not.
He's claiming you.
Right. He has claimed your lap as a high-value resource, and he's using aggression to control it. That is a deeply insecure behavior.
So what does true socialization actually look like for a Havanese? Because clearly, carrying them in a purse, isn't it?
No, purses don't count. True socialization isn't about flooding the dog with overwhelming experiences or forcing them into every lap at a loud party.
Right.
True socialization is calm, positive exposure. It's systematically introducing them to the world so they learn they can cope.
What does that involve?
It's meeting gentle children from a safe distance, getting used to the rumble of elevators, hearing city sounds while getting a treat, walking on different textures like grates and wet grass.
The sources specifically mention prioritizing leash walks over constant carrying, like using a comfortable harness, letting them do sniffing walks to build real outdoor confidence. Sniffing actually lowers a dog's heart rate, right?
It does.
Yeah.
It is mentally enriching and calming. And this need for structured boundaries, it applies inside the house too, especially with family dynamics. The Havanese is a wonderful family companion, but the family has to be trained to be safe companions for the dog.
That's a good way to put it.
There need to be strict rules for kids. No grabbing, no squeezing, no chasing, no dropping, no pulling at the coat, and absolutely no disturbing the dog while it's sleeping.
Because if a child constantly squeezes or chases a dog, the dog learns that children are unpredictable threats.
Exactly.
The sources emphasize that the dog needs a genuine retreat space, a crate or a bed, and a quiet room where they know they won't be bothered when things get overwhelming.
And that extends to visitors as well. You need protocols. Teach the dog to keep 4 paws on the floor instead of jumping.
Right.
Don't let visitors force greetings on a dog that is feeling shy. And politely ask guests not to randomly feed the dog table scraps.
Oh, the table scrap.
Yeah, that's a whole other issue. Oh, and if there are other pets, like larger dogs or cats, those introductions need careful supervision. Play should be balanced, and cats must always have an actual escape route so chasing doesn't become a habit.
That makes a lot of sense. So we've talked extensively about the psychology, the environment, and the human behaviors. But what about the physical animal itself?
Yeah.
Because you can have all the manners and training plans in the world, but if the dog is physically uncomfortable, or if daily routines are unintentionally rewarding bad behavior, all that training just falls apart.
It really does.
So what does this all mean? How do we connect their daily diet and grooming routines to their overall behavioral psychology?
Well, it starts by realizing that daily maintenance is behavior training.
Okay.
Standing calmly for brushing, accepting paw and nail handling, letting you check their ears or brush their teeth. None of that is natural tolerance.
It's not built in.
No.
Oh.
Those are trained behaviors that require patience and positive reinforcement.
If you treat grooming as a wrestling match you just have to get through, you end up with an adult dog that fights you every time you pull out a brush.
Exactly. And food is just as critical. We mentioned visitors feeding them, but owners do it too. Table scraps reinforce begging. If you give them a treat every time they demand bark, you are training them to yell at you.
Like you said, silence is currency.
Exactly. The sources note that even pickiness with food is often trained by the owner.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. The dog turns its nose up at kibble, so the owner immediately panics and offers boiled chicken.
Oh, I see.
The dog thinks, great, if I hold out, the menu gets better.
We get played so easily.
We do. Instead, use tiny treats or even pieces of their measured daily kibble to actively reinforce the calm behaviors you actually want to see.
This all really highlights the deep link between health and sudden behavioral shifts, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is so important. Often, what looks like bad behavior is actually masked physical pain.
The sources give a startling list of physical issues that masquerade as acting out. We're talking dental pain, knee discomfort, ear or eye irritation, itchy skin, severe mats pulling tight against their skin, or even just nausea. Let's explain why this happens. Like, why does a Havanese suddenly get clingy or irritable when they have ear pain?
Because you have to remember, they are still, at their core, pack animals.
Right.
In the wild, physical vulnerability is incredibly dangerous. It is a massive liability. So when a dog that is bred for closeness feels physically compromised or in pain, their instinctual response is to cling even tighter to their protector, which is you.
That makes total sense.
Or conversely, if they feel they can't defend themselves, they might become irritable or snappy to keep perceived threats away.
So if your normally sweet Havanese suddenly becomes incredibly clingy, unusually barky, or suddenly resists going for walks, they might not be just being difficult.
No, they might be hurting.
A sudden, real change in behavior should always prompt you to look at their physical health first.
Yes. Behavior is information. It is always telling you something.
It all comes back to treating them like the real dogs they are. As we wrap up this deep dive, the ultimate lesson synthesizing all these sources is pretty clear. The Havanese is a brilliant, emotionally attuned companion dog with real canine needs.
They are not just a living, breathing, stuffed animal.
Exactly. They don't need less love.
No, they just need love with structure.
Mm.
The ultimate goal is to build a secure attachment. You want your dog to be able to handle the world and handle being alone in it for a reasonable amount of time without falling apart.
Manners taught alongside natural charm. Independence taught alongside closeness.
It's a beautiful balance when you find it.
It really is. Well, before we let you go, a quick reminder, this deep dive is for educational purposes only. If you have any concerns about your dog's health or severe behavioral issues, please consult a veterinarian or a certified behaviorist.
It's always the best first step.
Definitely. But I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, building on everything we've talked about today regarding how deeply this breed connects to its humans.
Yeah.
We established that the Havanese is genetically wired to read the emotional map of a household. Their antenna is always up. So, what if your dog's anxiety when you leave the house isn't just about their lack of training?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
What if they are simply acting as a mirror, absorbing and reflecting the ambient stress, the frantic pacing, and the unexpressed anxiety of your own modern daily routine?
Wow.
Something to think about the next time you frantically grab your keys. Thanks for listening.